The Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement presents Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM and GalaxyAfiwi.com, the only de-brainwashing station, weekly discussions and live debate on all issues affecting the African community at home and abroad. Tune in Mondays 8 to 10 p.m. and have your say as we talk it straight and make it plain. It's live, it's hot, it's scintillating, it's real. It's Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio, the only de-brainwashing station.
Tendai Mwadi, be thankful unto God. Greetings, Galaxy family. You're tuned into Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. Hosting tonight's program is Brother Omowale and myself, Sister Kai. It's Monday, the 23rd of March, and it's 1 minute past the hour of 8. Alkebu-Lan is known for keeping its finger on the pulse of the community, addressing the most pertinent and controversial issues some radio stations just won't touch. So keep it locked on 102.5 FM or www.galaxyafiwi.com and join us for the next 2 hours by calling 07983 852 952 or 07538 008 634. You can text 07572 222 156. On Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan, we talk it straight and make it plain. This show is not for the faint-hearted. Tendai Mwari. Yes, sisters and brothers, this is Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan, and this evening we will be honoring Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan. And our subject is, why do we need to know our history? Tendai Mwari. Greetings and welcome, Brother Omowale.
Tendai Mwari, Sister Kai. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari, Sister Kai. Giving thanks and praises to Mwari Nyakusika, God the creator of the universe, through the spirits of Mzumukuru. Rumbitsu Kunamwari Africa. To the God of Africa be the glory. It is a joy to be an African. It's a joy to be on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com, the only de-brainwashing station. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. Well, it's a very important day today because we are honoring somebody great. But before we do that, let's welcome our resident guest, the spiritual leader of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement and ambassador to the UNIA UK, Brother Leader Bandaka. Tendai Mwari, Brother Leader.
Tendai Mwari, hold on. I noticed that I wasn't allowed to introduce Brother Leader this week. I don't know what this is all about, some conspiracy going on, but I will allow it. Tendai Mwari, go ahead, Brother Leader.
Tendai Mwari. Well, I don't know what's going on but love. You know, the usual flow of love between African brothers and sisters here in the studio, in particular members of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement, members of the leadership of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement, no less. Well, I bring greetings, as always, in the most precious, powerful, and bountiful name of our motherland, Alkebu-Lan, Mama Africa, in the sacred spirits of our most gracious ancestors, and in a prayer for oneness, hope, and prosperity for all African people on the face of Mother Earth. Rumbidzo Kunamwari, Ye Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. And indeed, as we say in the song, oh, what a joy to be an African. I hope that every single African listening to this program this evening is really experiencing the joy of being African. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
No conspiracies.
I'm sure not. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
Brother Leader, I just want our community to hear these powerful words, and then we can address it.
History is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day. It is also a compass that people use to find themselves on the map of human geography. History tells of people where they have been and what they have been, where they are and what they are. Most important, history tells a people where they still must go, what they still must be. The relationship of history to the people is the same as the relationship of a mother to her child.
Tendai Mori, those are the words of the late Baba John Henrik Clarke. Listen to the words of this great.
Many people have asked me, is it possible for white people to teach black studies? And I've said, hell no. A man's history is not just some dates and names written down. History has emotion in it. And history is interpretation of events passed by. No white man can interpret my history for me, just as no Irishman will accept the interpretation of Irish history by an Englishman.
Tendai Mori, yes, sisters and brothers, those are the words of the late Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan, who joined the Ancestral Realm on the 19th of March. We know that he was not well, and we had received word that he was traveling. And this great, mighty, powerful spirit, warrior scholar, undefeated, master of African history and culture has passed. But we know, even though he has left us in the physical, he has not left us in the spiritual. And his power will be everlasting in the works of those who continue to make it real. Tendai Mori, Brother Leader Bandaka, on hearing the news of the passing of our great Baba, Yosef Ben-Jochannan, tell me, how was it for you?
Well, Tendai Mori, of course, on this very program a couple of weeks ago, we had the news that Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan, by all appearances, was making his transition to the realm of the ancestors. And that was a deeply reflective moment for us because Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan has been a warrior scholar, has been a general in the army, in the battle for the restoration of our people's minds for many, many years. It must be some 70-odd years, if anything.
Yeah.
And it was a deeply reflective moment. I think it was Baba Kwaku Duah who sent a communique out to the African world community where he says that the victory is in the fact that Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan was with us for 96 years and served us for so many years on Liberation Road. And so in a moment like this, one is more or less, we have to reflect on life, the meaning and purpose of life. Our ancestors require us at times like this to do so, to give thanks for life, to give thanks for Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan's presence among us for 96 years, and the tremendous service that he gave us for so many of those years. As I said, in the war, as a general in the war for the restoration of the minds, of the intellect of African people, as a warrior scholar, doing much of his battle in the realm of the academe, so to speak, in academic circles, rescuing and reconstructing the data that relates to the history, the stolen legacies of Africa, and helping us as African people to heal our minds, helping us as African people to reconstruct our African consciousness. And so, you know, this is a very solemn moment. He was 96. We celebrate his longevity. We were expecting that he would have completed his transition, maybe even sooner when we got the news and the manner in which we got the news. But still, that moment when you get the news that he's passed, you know, as philosophical as one tries to be, as much as one is learning in the traditions of our ancestors who say you do not know life until you have embraced death, because what is death but the sleep of life, the ascendancy of the soul into the arms of our ancestors, and higher still into the loving embrace of the one who created us. So we know that death, what we call death, is another phase of life. It's a transition to the higher realm of existence, We know all of that, but in our human frailty, we do feel emotions at times like these. The exiting of someone who is so dear to us to the higher realm does leave us with a deep sense of loss. And from the physical point of view, we feel that sense of loss. We feel that emotional attachment. We feel that we're being torn from someone that we love and someone that we want to keep on this side of the on this earthly plane, this side of this part, this phase of the cycle of life. But we embrace we know there's a master plan, and we embrace the essence of that master plan. And so we have to give thanks, and we have to celebrate the life, the legacy of our great Baba, and we have to let go of him in this physical plane and allow his spirit to ascend and even empower his spirit in its ascendancy. So at this moment, we say, may the spirit of Baba Yosef Ben Antonio Ben-Jochannan rise like Ra. May he, before we rise him like Ra, may he be embraced in his ascendancy, in the loving arms of Muzimu Mukuru, our great ancestors. And may we empower him in our chants of praise to his great works as he ascends into the arms of the Creator. So may he rise like Ra on the wings of Ma'at after a favorable judgment in the council of Asar. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. O. Amen Ra.
Amen Ra.
It is done. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. I would really want to call upon all our beloved brothers and sisters who are listening at this time to just engage with us in a 1-minute silence as we just allow the Ashe, the spirit force, to speak to us. As we allow, brothers and sisters, that sense of the African spiritual presence to just engulf our senses as we reflect on the spirit of Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan in its ascendancy, as we reflect on his great works. Let us have 1 minute's silence. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
Ashe O.
Ashe O.
Oshe Baba O. Mdupe Ya O. We give thanks to the Mother, Father, God, Creator of the universe, for the life of Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan.
Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
Alkebu-Lan presents Nomo, the monthly sessions on the last Friday of every month. This month, on Friday the 27th of March 2015, Race or Class, the Claudia Jones Dilemma. Celebrating Claudia Jones' centenary, creator of Notting Hill Carnival and the UK's first African newspaper, the West Indian Gazette. Delivered by award-winning activist and broadcaster Sister Kai Awakadawu Bandaka of the Alkebu-Lan revivalist movement. Nominal, race or class? The Claudia Jones Dilemma. Celebrating Claudia Jones' centenary, Friday the 27th of March 2015. Takes place at Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road Leighton, London E10 5PW. Doors open at 7 p.m. and admission is a mere £3. Under 21s are free. Coming straight from work, don't worry, hot food will be on sale. Books, DVDs and educational materials are also on sale. For more information, contact 0208 539 2154 or 07908 814 152. www.alkebulan.org. That's ALKEBULAN.org. NOMO supports the National African People's Parliament. Alkebu-Lan NOMO.
Tendai Mori, yes, this is Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM. Yes, brothers and sisters, we are honoring the life and the legacy of the Grandmaster Teacher, the unconquered Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan, who passed on the 19th of March. But before we do that, there are some things that are happening in the community that we would like to update you on, and just in case for some reason you may wish to attend, at least you have that information to hand. Now, something very special is happening this weekend on the 28th of March by the organization called Power Sis, and it is their annual event called Woman of Substance Award Ceremony. We have online the CEO, Sister Kemet Imani. Sister Kemet, greetings and welcome to Africa Speaks.
Tenda Mari.
Tenda Mari, my sister. How are you?
A little bit under the weather at the moment, but hanging in there.
All right, that's good, that's good. I'm sure you'll be all ready and, well for the 28th. Now, Sister Kemet, a very special event is taking place on the 28th of March called the Woman of Substance Awards. If you could just tell us in brief what this awards is about, why are we celebrating African women, and when did it start? Tendai Mori.
Tendai Mori. The Woman of Substance was started this is our 5th year, and it's an annual award ceremony in recognition of the International Women's Month, and we only find it fitting to allow black women to be saluted. It takes place in a process whereby members of the community, they vote for people who they think should be awarded in different categories. So it may be entrepreneurial, performing arts, charitable, community activists, whatever. And what we do, we spotlight these people, these women, and put them on the forefront so that they could be honoured and saluted and receive an award, and also to let other people in the community know that there are outstanding women that are really making positive changes within the African community.
So do you think there is a lack of honouring or recognition of African women and their achievement and input into our community?
Most definitely. I think because it's not even just African women. I think African people as a whole. We're doing so much, and it really gets unrecognised. So just to pay a little bit of recognition when we can, I think it's really, really important, because these women are really pushing the limits. They raise the bar and break through barriers in all different kind of genres within our community, even internationally. So I don't see why they shouldn't be at the forefront.
Okay, I mean, you mentioned some of the awards that are given. You said it could be for performing arts or so forth. But you have a special award for international. What is that award called?
Well, we have an award called the prestigious Salute to Excellence Award, and we started that last year. That's the first time that award's been up, and that's the criteria for that is for somebody who's been nominated in at least 3 categories. Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily have to win the 3 categories, but they have to be nominated and have to win at least one of those categories.
Right.
And you received it last year, actually, Sister Kay.
I know I did.
The first ever one. And this year we've actually put in two more categories. One for young lady of substance, which people thought was fitting, and also there's an overall one for the young girls as well, young women in that, just like the women's one for the prestigious Salute to Excellence Award, but for the younger age girls. And also we have the Lifetime Humanitarian Achievement Award, which is, that one is not a single award. It gets passed to a person annually, so they get their name signed on the plaque and they hand it over to the next person that gets that one for
that sounds fantastic. I found. And last year, that particular Lifetime Achievement Award, it was given to
Monica White.
Oh, right. Great. Now, last year, I remember we had an international guest from Barbados. Just tell us a little bit about her and her award. I mean, I think that was quite touching.
Yeah, Anna I. Smith, she wrote a book called Etched, which is it's similar to The Colour Purple and Roots, but only 100 times better. It's got this, it's almost as if it's both of them put together. And Paris launched her book, was one of the first, well, I think she said the first people in the UK actually to launch her book. And we actually had a Skype meeting with her. We didn't know her as a person or anything like that, but we thought, let's try and target this author, because we used to have it as part of our reading group. That was one of the first books we read. And so we've contacted her and see if she could Skype in, and she did. And she did a reading with us. So this year, that year when she went up, people voted for her, put her forward and so forth, and she won, and she came over for it, which is really nice.
That's brilliant. Now, as a woman organization, why a woman organization?
Well, we're not a woman organisation per se. It was started up by women, but we target sisters and brothers so that we can actually get the balance right to make it work for us as a people. But we also have sections of Parasis that just deals with women. Like, for example, we have 100 Black Women of London Parasis Action, which launched that a few years ago. So that actually deals just with young females, but Parasis on the whole deals with men and women.
Right.
We run workshops for men and women, not just for women.
Right, that sounds great.
It's called Parasis because it started up by a group of women. It was started up by them.
That's fantastic. And the fact that this year you've introduced an award for young women, how important, and why did you decide to bring that into the award ceremony for younger girls?
I think because, for more reasons than one, quite a few people were saying, well, I want to nominate this person and that person, and the age range was quite young, maybe from around 13, between 17, so we was like, well, they're not women, we thought, but there is a place for them, so we had to put them in a category, as well as honouring two men, because every year we honour two men who the community and the Parasis executive think are honourable to receive an award.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, so, I mean...
Last year, Brother Leader Mandaka got an award.
He did.
Was one of the recipients, and I think Victor Romero Evans, if I can remember.
That's correct, yeah.
At the moment, it's hard for me to even keep up.
Yeah, I know that definitely, both of them received an award. And I think brothers and sisters, there were a lot of brothers and sisters there. I mean, it was such a prestigious event. The energy was so high, and I don't think people are expecting that type of event in terms of the entertainment and, the overall presentation. It was absolutely brilliant. Those of you that obviously didn't know about the Women's of Substance Award, it's too late for you to vote, but it's not too late for you to attend. Is that the case? Are there still tickets? Because I know that last year we sold out.
I think there's about maybe 15 tickets left, to tell you the truth.
Oh, my
because
gosh.
It's actually downsized this year. We normally have it at the Starlight Banqueting Suite. That holds over 200 people. But we've downsized this year because another thing, what people keep pressing us for, is to have the brothers, Man of Substance.
Okay.
That's going to be launched, God willing, in June of this year, and also to have a young people's one, which is long overdue, which people's been asking us to do from about 5 years now, and that will be launched in October in light of Black History Month. Parasis Young, Gifted and Black.
Oh, brilliant.
We haven't decided on the name for Brothers of the male one yet, because we thought Brothers of Substance sounds a bit patronising. The jury's still out on an actual name for that, title for that.
Oh, maybe our listeners can get on to the PowerSys website and send some recommendations. What?
Yeah, we'd love that. And whatever one we choose, if people could do that, we'll actually honour it and put it in their name. So that'd be nice.
Oh, that's brilliant. So we're looking for a Brothers of Substance award. We don't want to call it Brothers of Substance, but PowerSys is saying basically they need a name to call an award honouring our African men. And we do need them honoured. Now, some people will say that, well, men get honoured all the time. Why would you use that space to honour men again?
See, I don't think they do. I don't think we do as black people, period, whether we're men or women. And I think far too often men are, I don't think they're honoured. I think our men are dogged out. So I think they should really have been honoured even before the women. Because I see many awards going for women nowadays, but I've never seen one for a man yet. Not saying when I say men or women, I'm talking about us in particular. Mm-hmm. But I've not seen one for the brothers yet. I'm not saying there's not one, but I haven't come across it.
Okay. Sister Kemi, tell us, Women of Substance taking place this Saturday. Give us the details. How do we get tickets? The last 10 or 15 that are left. Go ahead.
Okay, it's at Wadham Lodge, and that's it's a football ground, leisure centre, and that's Kitchener Road, Walthamstow, E17, and the postcode is 4LL. That's E17 4LL.
How can we get tickets?
Yeah, if they Google it or whatever, they can get maps and so forth. And I think if it's okay, because you're an outlet for tickets, I doubt if you guys have any left, but we'll bring our last 15 down there so people can get obtain the last 15 on a first come first served basis. That's if there's any left by tonight.
Okay. So brothers and sisters, don't leave it too long. Sorry, I'm good.
PAs PAs and that there as well, performing singers and spoken word artists. We used to have actors and actresses as well, doing monologues and so forth in the very beginning when we first started, and dignitaries and likewise. So, but we don't really tell the public who we're having.
Okay.
Advertise. That's one thing we don't do. We don't advertise on that kind of level. We just leave it because we expect people to support because they think it's something that should be supported, than opposed to coming just because they want to be entertained by a particular artist.
Right. I mean, that's very good. I mean, like you said, I mean, at least you know people are there because they want to honour African women and African men.
Yeah.
You know, not because, like you said, they just want to see an entertainer. There's nothing wrong in seeing an entertainer, but that is not, I guess, the purpose, the full purpose of the event. But our entertainers are important. Give us a telephone number. How can people contact?
They can go, if they want more information about the award ceremony, they can go on www.powersys.org, or if they want to know a little bit more about PowerSys as an organisation and what we stand for. And the telephone number is 07587 209 100.
Okay. Give thanks, Sister Kemi. We're looking forward to the 28th. It's such a very, very important event. I hope the community is going to come out. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to have a problem in terms of community coming out. It's if you get the opportunity to get your tickets now.
And that's what's good about it, because people do actually come out and support. You know, even celebrities that's come there from the beginning, they've come back every year, even if they're not performing or whatever, they've come to support it and always said they want to take part in it on a bigger scale, and they think it's something that should be bigger. I remember Sky TV, when we first did it, they wanted to have the right to film it, and we told them no.
Right. You know? Why is that? Some people say, why would you not jump to something like that?
Sky TV don't do anything to benefit black people in our community, and it's not black owned, so I don't see why they should have the rights for anything. We like to sell out our things too much.
Okay. That's powerful, my sister. So looking forward to Saturday, and like Sister Kemi Imani said, if you want more information, go to www.powersys.org, or you can pick up your tickets at Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road, Leighton, E105PW. Well done to PowerSys, all the members of PowerSys, and this award ceremony that I know will grow from strength to strength. Tendai Mori.
Tendai Mori.
Many people have asked me, is it possible for white people to teach black studies? And I have said, hell no.
Tendai Mori. Is it possible for white people to teach black studies? Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan said, hell no. The subject this evening is, why do we need to know our history? And our special guest this evening is Brother Robin Walker, who is an historian and one of the students of Baba Ben. Tendai Mori.
Tendai Mori, brothers and sisters. Yes, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyfreeway.com, the only de-brainwashing station. Brothers and sisters, our subject matter this evening, honoring Baba Ben. Why do we need to know our history? Tendai Mori. At 3:30 a.m. on Thursday, the 19th of March, at Bay Park Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation in the Bronx, New York, Baba Yosef Alfredo Antonio Ben-Jochannan, fearless raceman, people's professor and father of the global African nation, passed into the ancestral realm 2.5 months into his 98th year. Baba Ben was born on December the 31st, 1918, as the only child of an Afrikan Puerto Rican Jewish mother named Julia Matta and an Ethiopian father named Kriston Ben-Jochannan in a Beta Israel community in Gondar, Ethiopia. Baba Ben was indeed the last man standing of a towering generation of the late 19th and early 20th century warrior scholars, which included such illustrious names as Chancellor Williams of Destruction of the Black Civilization, John G. Jackson, Introduction to African Civilization, Edward Scobie, Black Britannia, Sheikh Anta Diop, African Origin of Civilization, Baba John Henrik Clarke, Africans at the Crossroads, whom Dr. Ben worked very closely with for several years. Having authored 28 major publications, Baba Ben was the most prolific of them all, with many of his works regarded as certified classics. As a testament to his international appeal, when Baba Ben last visited the UK in October 2001 for a sellout national tour, it was reported that hundreds were locked out at the first event. Baba Ben had little time for the mores of European academia. His focus through his books, papers, TV appearances, etc., and his public messages was to make our history relevant and to uplift our people. My aim, he said, from the date of birth to the ultimate cause can be represented as follows. 1 African race, 1 deity, Amin-Ra, 1 true destiny. May he rise on the wings of Ma'at after a favorable judgment in the Council of Asa. Tendai Mari. So, brothers and sisters, we ask the question, why do we need to know our history? How can we measure Baba Ben's influence? And what impact did he have? We have a special guest this evening, as Sister Kai has already mentioned, Brother Robin Walker, who has produced a number of seminal works, including the great When We Ruled. Tendai Mori is Tendai Mori, Brother Robin. Welcome to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan.
Tendai Mori.
It's a pleasure having you on, my brother. Although it is a very, very sad time, it is also a period of celebration. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Ben is a major, major influence on our historical research and writing. And without him, we would be much the intellectually the poorer.
Right.
There's no way that can be underestimated.
Absolutely. Now, my brother, we're focusing on, why do we need to know our history? But why, if you can just elaborate a little bit, why should we honor Dr. Yosef Ben-Jochannan? There may be many out there who don't know who this great man is.
He's our pioneering Egyptologist writing in the English language. He's our first. He's our first scholar to deal properly with the African origin of religion, challenging all religious bigots, Jewish, Christian, and Islamic. He's also the first to insist that when we're dealing with our history, the Nile Valley and its impact should come first. And also, when it comes to the popularization of certain scholars like J.C. de Graaf Johnson, African Glory, a lot of the reason how that stuff ended up being reprinted was because of Dr. Ben's influence.
Tena, my brother, give thanks and praises. Now, you are our great scholar in the UK, my brother. What impact did he have on you personally?
What happened was I used to be a member of an orchestra called the Jazz Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And the founder of that was Courtney Pine and his wife. And Courtney used to promote very heavily Professor Ben-Jochannan's book, Africa, Mother of Western Civilization. And I was really impressed.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most, the biggest impact that Professor Ben-Jochannan's books have is that it's hard to read them and not come out of it a researcher.
Right.
Because he will always say, right, this is what I'm saying, here are some references, go and check them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my incentive to join the British Library all those years ago.
Right.
That was my incentive to collect the books that Ben-Jochannan used to recommend. And that's how I started to build my reading collection.
Okay. So you started building your reading collection, and then obviously it mushroomed from there. You are our number one scholar. So can you just elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, what happened is that Professor Ben-Jochannan influenced a gentleman called E. Curtis Alexander, who was the first to start to reprint old books that were of interest to the black community. A lot of our history was recorded by European scholars in the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. And a lot of those books were published once. They're now rare. They were deleted. And the whole thing about reprinting them starts with a guy called E. Curtis Alexander, and then other companies started doing the same kind of thing. And in this kind of reprinting of books, a lot of them were ones that were on Ben-Jochannan's reading list.
Right.
Okay, now, for me, my influences were partly Ben-Jochannan and other scholars as well, Chancellor Williams, John Jackson, Sheikh Anta Diop, Ivan Van Sertima, and Ivan Van Sertima's team, particularly Runoko Rashidi, James Brunson, and so on. But certainly this whole thing about books and building up my book collection, that definitely starts with Ben-Jochannan.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that, my brother. Right. Now, Baba Ben, he spoke about history not being just dates and times and sort of basic dead facts. He said history has emotion in it. Do you concur with that? And if so, how have you sort of used that mantra, if you like, in your own work?
I don't, to be honest.
Okay.
Dr. Ben certainly was a very emotional presenter and so on. But when you look at the way he structures an intellectual argument, it is pure, rigorous, deductive logic. And what it is because he writes in a very aggressive, polemic style. Most people miss that, but I didn't miss that.
Right.
That's why I was so impressed with his stuff, because logically the arguments were tight.
Mm-hmm.
And he would maintain a logical flow of evidence backing points after points after points to arrive at a clear conclusion. Now, a lot of people miss that because, of course, of the aggressive polemic writing. But I didn't miss that.
Right. Now, you say... Sorry.
Take the same level of logic, except tone down the anger. That's what I wanted.
Right. Well, that's part of the emotion that I was talking about. And I've heard you, Brother Robin. I wouldn't say that you are emotionless when you deliver. I can feel the emotion. I can feel the passion. It's a different style to Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan, but there's certainly emotion in it. So because I think, in order to impact on our people, it's got to be more than dates, facts, etc. Clearly, he was very accurate and, as you say, very logical. But there was more than that.
No, but that's just it. You see, if the logic wasn't there,
mm-hmm.
stuff would not have impressed as many people as it did.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what certainly blew my head off.
Right.
I've never seen anyone write like that.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, it was a situation where a lot of people looking at his stuff for the first time, there's a kind of streetwise, quick draw attitude, yardman style
mm-hmm.
in how in what it appears to be. But when you actually study how he's put an argument together, the logic is solid.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, that is what carried me.
Right. But he clearly brought his own personality into it. He was more than just a historian. He was, to all intents and purposes, an academic, if you like, freedom fighter.
Indeed. But as I said, in fighting the intellectual battle, he certainly knew how to handle the tools
mm-hmm.
involved. Because ultimately, you're trying to convince a people who don't know they even have a history.
Don't necessarily want to be convinced either.
Well, indeed. But what Ben-Jochannan showed, and why his books are so important as research tools, is that even when a Eurocentric scholar is lying, how you can pull the lies out of what they've just said and use the lies against them.
Right.
Again, I've never seen anyone do that before.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, either they agree with the source or they disagree with it.
Right.
I've not seen someone use a source that's anti-black, pull out the good stuff, reject the rest, and use that as solid evidence. Never seen it done before.
Right.
And these are very important intellectual tools that Ben-Jochannan was teaching through his books.
Right. Okay, Tendamori. Sister Kai.
Brother Robin, now I've had the pleasure of meeting Baba Ben in the early 80s. I think I was in probably my early 20s at the time, and I was obviously very moved and, followed him all over the place when he came here. And a number of times I saw him brought to tears when he was delivering his presentations. What do you feel it would take? What kind of person do you think it would take to take on such a task as Baba Ben took on?
A very brave, confident individual, because essentially you're taking on not just a racist establishment, but you're also taking on religious bigotry as well. And he let them have it with both barrels. And what normally happens is most scholars will either go after one target or the other. They don't usually go after both.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ben-Jochannan's main point, if you were to sum up, what is Ben-Jochannan trying to teach the community? Racism wasn't the only argument that was used against black history. Religious bigotry was also used against it.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just elaborate, Brother Robin, how was religious bigotry used? Because people probably get the racism argument.
The religious bigotry.
Yeah.
Essentially, there's a concept that anthropologists used, and the concept was called the Hamites.
Uh-huh.
And the Hamites were, if you can't disprove that a civilization was built by black people, then anthropologists used to say, okay, they were built by black people, but these black people belong to a race of people called Hamites.
Right.
And so the ancient Egyptians became Hamites, the ancient Ethiopians became Hamites. Everywhere where there was evidence of a civilization just claimed that the population were Hamites.
And what was it so special or otherwise about the Hamites?
Because they could be classified as Caucasians.
Oh, right.
That's what the whole intellectual... And if you look at some of the old physical anthropology books, there was a scholar called C.G. Seligman, one of the scholars that Ben-Jochannan roundly beats up in his books.
Right.
He was the person that coined the Hamitic hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, what's this got to do with religion? Well, the concept of Ham and Hamitic is coming straight out of the Bible.
Okay, the good book.
Absolutely. And then it may amaze may amaze listeners to believe that a religious idea was being used by physical anthropologists to deny black people their history. But that is exactly how it went down. You know, you've got the whole story in the Bible of Noah and his three sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth.
Yes, but elaborate.
Become the children of Ham.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the intellectual argument that people were using to classify the founders of civilization as dark-skinned Caucasians as opposed to blacks.
So European scholars who would try to beat up African scholars about sources and about evidence and about facts, etc., they were drawing straight from the Bible.
Absolutely.
As their evidence.
That's right. But what it was, you see, is because when C.G. Seligman came up with the Hamitic hypothesis, he didn't say he got it from the Bible.
Right.
Yeah. And it was Dr. Ben that exposed that.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yes.
Now, because a lot of people couldn't follow what Dr. Ben was saying, they couldn't see the importance of what he's just said.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, you've got the idea that black people then, if they want to be denied civilization, then the civilization builders become Hamites.
Right.
If you want to justify the slave trade, use the same argument. Black people are the cursed seed of Ham.
Mm-hmm.
You must have heard that one.
Oh, most definitely. It's still being propounded even now, and I'm sure. And I'm sure.
Dr. Ben was the first to show the black community that the original source of this was the Babylonian Talmud.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did was to quote from the Talmud, "Cursed be Canaan." All this stuff about Canaan having been cursed turns black.
And just remind our listeners what the Talmud is.
It's a document that accompanies the Old Testament, is used in rabbinical Judaism.
Right.
And you have...
You said Judaism, right?
Which becomes the basic text, and the Talmud becomes the rabbi's interpretation of the text.
Right. So this is a Jewish... Can I just verify? You said a Jewish text, yeah?
Indeed, and Dr. Ben,
right.
Because he's got that same Jewish background, he would know that this is what's there.
Right. I see. Okay, then I'm going to give thanks. Our spiritual leader, Brother Leader, is also in the studio, my brother, and wants to interact with you. Tendai Amari.
Tendai Amari. Brother Robin Walker, it's wonderful to hear you on Galaxy Radio this evening on Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan.
Greetings, sir, and I'm pleased that you guys invited me on it. You know.
Well, who else would we have invited for an occasion like this?
Our number one scholar in the UK,
celebrating the life and the legacy and the works of our great illustrious warrior scholar, a great general in the war for the restoration of the African mind. You know, a giant like Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan. Who else would we invite to make comments?
And he's already been giving us some great insight into Baba Ben as well, and we're very grateful, Brother Robin.
Absolutely. I really just wanted to ask you if you could just illuminate on the last point that you made just now about Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan being a Jew, because that may confuse some people.
Indeed, yeah. What it is because most people, when they think of Jews,
Tonight, my brothers and sisters, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy 102.5 FM, www.galaxyofreeway.com, the only de-brainwashing station. We're honoring Baba Ben this evening, and the subject matter is why do we need to know our history. Brother Robin, Tendai, you were just about to elaborate on Baba Ben's Jewish origin. Go ahead, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yeah, when people think of Jews, they think of people that live in Stamford Hill, they think of people that live in Golders Green. And while these people are Jews, they're not the only Jews on the planet. And in Africa, African Jews are as black as everybody else. So what happens is that places like Ethiopia have Jewish populations that go back many hundreds, some people say thousands of years. And many scholars think that the kind of Judaism practiced in Ethiopia is the oldest surviving form of Judaism. Whichever be the case, Dr. Ben is directly related to that. Mm-hmm. And as I said, African Jews are as black as everybody else. Chinese Jews are as yellow as everybody else, you know? In other words, the Stamford Hill and the Golders Green people don't hold the monopoly on what Judaism is.
So basically, Judaism is not a racial definition.
No. Although there are some scholars trying to come with dishonest arguments that say they are. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that they've tried to do it is to trace what they call the Cohen gene. Mm-hmm. Right? This is the idea that Jewish priesthoods, the Cohens, have a different genetic makeup to the rest of the Jewish population, and you can trace it all the way back. There's only one problem with the Cohen gene, and that is those scholars who think it exists, who think there's something in it, also have to admit that there's a black population in South Africa called the Lemba, who have an even bigger concentration of that same gene than European Jews have.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. There was a scholar from the University of London called Tudor Parfit who was the one that dropped that knowledge.
Was that an African? That's an African scholar, is it?
Absolutely not, no.
All right.
No, and that was what was so funny about it.
All right. Okay.
But is it correct to say that, be all this as it may, that Baba Ben did disassociate himself from the Jewish religion and Jewish traditions?
I don't know him personally well enough to say that. Mm-hmm. But what I know about his Judaism comes through his books. Mm-hmm. And certainly that's what his books say. Mm-hmm. And what was good about his books is that you have different black scholars coming from different ideological positions on religion, all coming to very similar conclusions. So you had Chancellor Williams coming with Christianity, coming to very similar conclusions. Mm-hmm. Ben-Jochannan coming with Judaism, coming with very similar conclusions. Professor Diop coming with Islam, coming to very similar conclusions. And Professor Jackson coming with atheism, coming with very similar conclusions. And all of these scholars, in their different ways, came to pretty much the same conclusion. The ancient Egyptian tradition is the parent of all of them. Right.
Okay. Brother Robin.
You could argue that all roads lead to exactly the same position.
Right.
Okay. And maybe we should just let brothers and sisters know that if you want further information on Baba Ben's position on black Jews, there is a book called We the Black Jews, Witness to the White Jewish Race Myth, Volumes 1 and 2, published in 1993.
Okay. Right. Brother Robin, I wanted to move on to something, another aspect of not just Baba Ben, but our scholars, our historians, Baba John Henrik Clarke, etc., regarding the attack on Afrocentric scholars, particularly a woman by the name of Mary Lefkowitz. Now, how influential or otherwise was Baba Ben in that, if you like, that tussle with these? I think these were European Jews who tried to disprove the whole concept of Afrocentric scholarship.
Mary Lefkowitz was a lot more measured than her supporters gave her credit for. In other words, while I don't agree with Mary Lefkowitz, she is a scholar. And I mean that quite sincerely. She is a scholar. And because she's a scholar, she knows what she can say, and most importantly, she knows what she can't say. Yeah? So a lot of people assumed that Mary Lefkowitz said African history is all rubbish, we're making it up, because that's what her supporters said that she said. When you actually go and read what she actually said, her claims are much more measured, her targets are much more focused. And what's really interesting is not so much what she says, but what she doesn't say.
Okay.
So, for example, in challenging Ben-Jochannan, she says that Ben-Jochannan says that the original Jews were black like him. She doesn't say it's not true. She says, but there are non-black Jews as well.
Right.
Now, you'd expect her to say, rubbish, Jews were white. She doesn't say that. She says there were white Jews as well. Now, can you see that's a measured position? But a lot of people didn't see that subtlety in her arguments.
Right.
The main problem she had with Ben-Jochannan was over the issue of... Ben-Jochannan is one of the reasons why black scholars promote George James. You know George James?
Stolen Legacy, yes, George M. James.
The reason why that book is popular, the reason why the black community reads it, is because of Ben-Jochannan. Yeah? That was her main target.
Okay, so what is it about the book? What is it about the book that that she wanted to challenge?
Okay, her argument essentially was this. She says that George James was a Freemason. Freemasonry informed his understanding of ancient Egyptian thinking, but the Freemasons had already come up with their ideas on what the ancient Egyptians thought before the hieroglyphs had been deciphered. Therefore, what they said the ancient Egyptians believed must be wrong. That was her argument.
Right.
Yeah?
Okay.
Now, what she didn't do was to check. Now that we've got the decipherment of the hieroglyphics, is George James's presentation of it
accurate,
correct or incorrect? That's what she didn't deal with.
Right.
You follow me?
Yeah.
And I've been through it, and there are errors in George James's presentation of the ancient Egyptian thought, definitely. But the errors are not serious enough to undermine what he just said.
Right.
And when you correct George James, as later scholars have done, like Jacob Carruthers, it's even easier to prove that the Greeks ripped off Egyptian philosophy.
Right.
In other words, when you correct George James, it looks easy.
It adds more weight.
The Greek stuff that the Greeks ripped off.
Right.
Now, Mary Lefkowitz probably knew that, but she didn't want to go there. That's the reason why she came with the argument, George James is basing it on Masonic sources, and the Masonic sources had come up with their model before the hieroglyphs had been deciphered. That's why she goes down that route. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Brother Robin.
Tenamori. Brothers and sisters, we're talking to Brother Robin Walker, historian, author of When We Ruled and a number of other books. And just to say, this subject is, why do we need to know our history? We are honoring the late Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan, who passed on the 19th of March. But you can join the discussion. We're not opening the lines yet. We'll be opening it very soon. But you can join the discussion by texting this number.
07572 222 156. That's 07572 222 156. We're getting some real insight into the work, the life of Yosef Ben-Jochannan, our great warrior scholar. Tendai Mari.
Brother Robin, now there's been many talk. I mean, when Baba Ben started on this mission, he didn't have, internet and all the other technology that we have today. Mm-hmm. And my understanding is that one of his great books, Black Man and Woman of the Nile, and his family, he typed, with his one finger. And obviously it would have taken him a long time and to publish it and so forth and so forth. And there is discussions that he was ripped off or not supported in terms of people purchasing his book. How true is that?
I don't know enough about it, unfortunately.
Okay.
All right.
I've met the founder of Black Classic Press. I met him in November. He's the person that's reprinted Ben-Jochannan's books.
Yeah.
He didn't say that, but then maybe the conversation didn't get into that.
Brother Robin, how about you type in with one finger when we ruled?
When we ruled.
Okay, well, basically, because the technology's moved on, not all of when we ruled was typed.
All right.
Some of it was actually spoken.
Okay.
For any budding writers out there, there's a piece of technology called Dragon Speaking Naturally.
I see.
And it's technology that allows you to
speak, and then
the word then appear what you just said.
I'm sure Baba Ben would have found that very useful.
Well, indeed. I mean, it makes a lot of mistakes, but
yeah,
when we ruled, it was actually spoken. It wasn't typed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I think you see them at conferences and so on. But Brother Robin, now
I just want to say I've got my copy of Black Man of the Nile and his family here, and so 540 something pages.
Yeah,
and when you leaf through it, you can see that the task was a basic manual task of predominantly
a monumental
manual task. You can see that the technique that was used to put this together was very basic and low on sophisticated technology. You can see the evidence of that. And in fact, I've heard Baba Ben speak to this and heard him say that he's not going to compromise the content of his work, and therefore he does his own typing, for that purpose, and put his book together as much as he possibly can, relying on his own agency. Mm-hmm. That is something that he has pronounced on publicly.
Yeah.
Tenamwari. We have a texter here, and it said, please, can you ask Robin Walker about the value of Dr. Ben's first-hand research in traveling to the Nile Valley for indeed. 50 plus years and uncovering our ancient history?
Yes. It's definitely something I was going to come to, the work he's done. But Robin, the question has been asked by our listeners, so can I put that over to you, please?
Okay, the most important thing is that he's our first Egyptologist in English.
Right.
That's very, very important. He was the first to popularize Egyptology in the black community in the English language. His most important books on ancient Egypt are Africa, Mother of Western Civilization, probably Black Man and the Nile of his family, and definitely From Abu Simbel to Giza, which is his travel guide. He did a travel guide in ancient Egypt.
Right.
Yeah. In other words, a tourist guide. The monuments, what's there, and so on, so on and so forth. Well, the main findings of Dr. Ben is there's an inscription called the Stela of Samna. Let me explain what that is.
Please.
Before Dr. Ben, there weren't any black scholars who could read any hieroglyphics. Mm-hmm. Dr. Ben, I gather, could read a bit, but the bit that he could read was enough to blow it up.
Right.
There was an inscription called the Stealer of Samna, where a pharaoh, the pharaoh's name is Sinozret III, put down a boundary inscription between Egypt and Nubia. And he warned the Nubians, if you cross this boundary, we kick your butts, or something like that.
Word to that extent.
Now, the document contained the word for Nubian as Nehezi. And that document had been systematically mistranslated by Egyptologists to say Negro. So this boundary inscription that banned Nubians from entering Egypt was then mistranslated as this document had banned Negroes from entering Egypt.
Very convenient.
Right? And then this was then used as first-hand evidence that the ancient Egyptians can't be Negroes. Because why would there be a document banning Negroes from entering ancient Egypt? Now, to put it into perspective, W.E.B. Du Bois saw this same inscription. He couldn't explain it. Chancellor Williams saw the same inscription. He couldn't explain it. John Jackson ignores the inscription and just doesn't even get into the argument. G.K. Osai saw the inscription. He couldn't explain it. The first person in the English language to say, I can explain it, the document is a fraud, it didn't say that, was Ben-Jochannan.
All right.
And then that was very, very important, because what Ben-Jochannan had done was to remove the strongest argument that Eurocentric liars had against the ancient Egyptians being Africans. They used to be able to translate the word Nehezi to mean Negro, and then use it as proof that the Egyptians were not Nehezi, so they were not Negroes. Do you get it?
Yeah, we get it. We get it, my brother. And
Ben-Jochannan was the first person to blow that fraud open.
We've got a lot to thank Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan for. Brothers and sisters, we're going to open the lines now. The numbers are 07538 005 or 07983 852 952. We're interacting with Brother Robin Walker, brothers and sisters, and our subject matter this evening is we are honoring. Sorry. Dinamari. Why do we need to know our history is the subject matter this evening, and our brother is really enlightening us this evening about the great and vast contribution. Many of us who haven't maybe delved into the depth of the contributions that Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan has made, we've been enlightened by Brother Robin Walker. Tendai, Brother Leader, did you? All right, okay. I thought you wanted to make a contribution.
Tendai, one of the things that Baba Ben is known for, that he was a people's man. He was a grassroots person. He interacted with his community, didn't see himself as something separate, just a professor. How true to your understanding is that?
Absolutely true. He used to be what they used to call a street corner speaker. Basically, man on street corner, just dropping science, basically.
Right.
And apparently, there's a place in Harlem where there's a lot of people that were doing that, and he's one of them. And that's how he learned his preachy, jokey,
dynamic
style. That's where he mastered that.
On the street.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. He was also on when you mention Harlem now. He was also, along with Baba John Henrik Clarke. He also advised Papa Omowale Malcolm X. How much of that legacy are you aware of?
Yeah, I mean, with Malcolm X, you certainly get a lot of historical information coming out. But whereas I'm aware that he did indeed advise Malcolm X, Malcolm X's own talks, he talks about Timbuktu, he talks about the Sumerians. Malcolm X doesn't say that much about the ancient Egyptians.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, the influence is definitely there, because I know that when Malcolm X was doing a speech, he would check it with, Dr. Ben and John Henrik Clarke.
Okay.
Just to add to that, Tendai Mwari, that Papa Omowale Malcolm X actually had a history cabinet. He had a number of cabinets, and one of them was his history cabinet. And he had a number of historians in that history cabinet. Amongst them, two of the main and most important were Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan and Baba John Henrik Clarke. But just to also say that much of that aspect of his work was in the last year of his life. And Papa Omowale Malcolm X was evolving.
That's correct.
He never really reached his peak, you know. So we have to remember he was only 39, and he had less than a year left the Nation of Islam, was really launching himself, was really branching out and starting, you know, his history studies program, etc., through the Organization for Afro-American Unity. So, you know, that needs to be put into context as well.
Most definitely.
We do have a caller, and the numbers to call Brother Omowale are?
They are, Sister Kai, 07538 005 634. That's 07538 005 634 or 07983 852 952. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari. We're going to ask our callers to be tight because we have a number of lining up. We have Brother Kwame from Nottingham. Tendai Mwari, Brother Kwame.
Tendai Mwari, Brother Kwame.
Tendai Mwari. I would have thought it was obvious why we need to know our history, because there's been an effort by non-Africans in particular to say to the world that the African has no history, and if he has no history, you know, it's when the Europeans came, and you know, many of our people believe, you know, this, you know, bunkum, because there's been a system at play via the media and via the systems of education and higher enlightenment that the African has no history. So this is one of the legacies of Baba John Henrik, to impart to us that knowledge as African people of the immense history that we have, you know, because it is important, because many of us are ashamed of our identity. Many of us do not want to associate ourselves with Africa. Many of us do not want to, even though we physically look African, that we are not African. And so this is why it is important to remember the legacy of Dr. Yosef Ben-Jochannan, because he gave to us that, yes, we have a history, you know, unlike what the Europeans and Arabs are telling to us, and that we should be proud of their history and culture. I just wanted to touch upon, you know, the Jewish question that was raised the other one with Dr. Robert Walker. I think, you know, we have to raise the analogy because it's an interesting analogy, because the analogy that I will give anyway is the example between the Aborigines in Australia, who are the indigenous Australians, and the so-called white Australians. You understand? The Jews who are in Golders Green, you know, Swiss Cottage, you know, who live in Israel today, are not the original Jews. You know, the original Jews, even tracing even me as an Ashanti, right? And I've studied this, you know, history, and you know, we as Ashantis trace our lineage all the way to, you know, Ashan, which is in southern Israel, right? And Ashan is one of the 12 tribes of Judah, which is where the term Jew comes from, the 12 tribes of Judah. And even studies have shown that the Ashantis, who are part of the Akan family, and the Akan are one of those tribes of Judah, migrated from what is called Israel today to the west coast of Africa to find what is called Ghana. And even you know, talking to scholars in Ghana, there are other indigenous groups in Ghana, such as the Gan, who have a celebration called the Omowale. The Omowale literally means in English the Great Trek. And Gans, you know, celebrate the Omowale, which is around August, September time in Ghana.
Yeah, that's right. They celebrate it over here.
As a, you know, a tribute to his ancestors who made that great trek from what is called Israel, Palestine, all the way to the Gan state. And there are other tribes in Ghana, like the Ewe, like the Dagomba, like, you know, the Zokofu Barubas, who are part of that, you know, Jewish tribe family. Also, you have the you know, what I mentioned already, you know, the Lomba of South Africa. You have the Bitar Israel of Ethiopia. You also have the Yoruba of Nigeria, who are part of that original, you know, tribe of Judah.
Right.
So when we talk about Jewish people, we are not talking about the Jewish people, you know, who are in Israel today or in Golders Green in London. The Jewish people today are tribes that were scattered all over the mainland of African continent as a result of the Roman invasion of Northeast Africa, which is where Palestine, so-called Israel today is, in 70 AD. You understand? When they came, because that was the center of one could say, the religious world.
Okay.
All the sacred books and texts were there. And when the Roman
Brother Kwame, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Because of the number of calls we got this evening, we're going to have to tie it up now, please, my brother. But you're giving some very enlightening information. We're going to interact with our brother Robin shortly.
Yes, just to tie it up then, we do have a legacy, and even in this country, our history spans to the very formation of what is called the British Isles, when we built Hadrian's Wall and we ruled this country for more than 300 years. So we do have a history and a culture that goes back to the essence of the time itself. And great scholars like Dr. Ben-Jochannan have opened our eyes to the reality and greatness of who we are and what we have done to the world civilization and culture. And we will be forever grateful to the likes of Dr. Ben.
Absolutely.
Opening our eyes
Thank you.
to the vast greatness of ancient Africa and the history and achievements of African peoples.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brother Kwame. That's Brother Kwame from Nottingham there, enlightening us. We got another caller on the line, Sister Kai?
Not at the moment.
All right, but before we do that, Brother Robin, I don't know if you got that bit of information from our last caller. All right, we'll get back to Brother Robin. Tenamrai, sorry, Brother Robin. I don't know if you got that information. I don't know if you got that information from our last caller.
I did, yeah.
Okay, any quick response?
No, I mean, the main thing is that, guys come with interesting information. Dr. Ben and what he said, and I mean, what the caller did was to add to the frame of reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So he clearly said that the Stamford Hill Jews, if you like, he said they're not the original Jews. The African people scattered all over the world are the original Jews. So you basically concur with that.
No, this is what I'm saying. With Dr. Ben never says that all the original Jews were Africans. He's saying that amongst the original Jews were Africans.
Right.
But he makes one very important point. The founder of Judaism is the prophet Moses.
Okay.
And if Moses, if he even existed, the first, if you like, time he's in history, supposedly, he's floating down the River Nile. So he's an African.
Right.
Dr. Ben has a chapter in his book, African Origins of the Major Western Religions, called Moses, African Influence on Judaism.
Right.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the book of Acts in the New Testament says something like Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians. Yeah, just chew that one over.
Okay. All right.
I think that's Acts 7, verse 22.
Okay, thanks, Brother Leader, for that biblical reference.
Tinamar, we have Brother Bob on the line. Tinamar, greetings and welcome, Brother Bob.
Greetings and welcome to After Speak.
Tinamar, Brother Bob, we have to do it real tight this evening.
I must declare straight away, I have no history of my of African origin. So and you asked the question: is it important to have this history?
Yeah.
I would like to say to Mr. Walker, Robin Walker, due to the fact that the modern state of living is not even bereft of religion. It's called secularism, something like that. I would like to ask him. He doesn't have to ask this question straight away. I would like to ask him if this African history would have bear any relevance in this modern time. But the main question I would like to ask him really, if it's N-word he brought up. Did he know the origins of this N-word? Did he know the origins of the N-word? If it's not Negro,
Nehisi,
what does the word mean? And the people who were supposed to wrote this letter or this word or this statement, were they Negroes or were they black or what do they consider themselves as? So I wonder if you could decipher that question and answer it for me.
Okay, Tenamrani. Brother Robin, did you get that from our brother Bob?
Yes.
Hello.
Brother Robin, yes, we can hear you now. Did you get those two questions from?
I didn't hear one word of that question, unfortunately.
All right. Okay. Right. Someone's going to have to help me out here.
Well, I think the question he was asking, he said, if Nahisi doesn't mean Negro, what does it mean?
It means from Sudan. It's a place origin. Does that make sense? It's identifying your region. It's not identifying your race.
Right. And he was saying that who wrote that particular document or...
Yeah, the document was written by Pharaoh Senusret III. That wasn't the problem. The problem was how the document was translated.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the interpretation.
Because there weren't any black scholars at the time who could read hieroglyphics, then European Egyptologists could lie about the translation of the document.
Right.
In other words, you can change a man's history on just one word.
Right.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
And then when Ben-Jochannan was published in the original Black Man of the Nile, that no, the word Nehezi doesn't mean that. That was a revelation.
Okay. All right. Before we get to that caller, just one more question. He asked. He mentioned about religion, and basically, does history still hold a place of any relevance? Knowledge of our history, is there any relevance today?
In what sense? Sorry.
Good question. Yeah, is it important still in this modern time? In these modern times, is history relevant?
Oh, of course.
Knowledge of our history. Sorry.
Everything is based on history. There's nothing that isn't based on history. If you look at all knowledge that's not acquired in the present, it doesn't matter what the knowledge is. It could be mathematics, it could be physics, it could be art, it could be drama. If it's not in the present, it's historical. And therefore, if you remove people from history, you've removed them from the history of maths as well. You've removed them from the history of physics as well. You've removed them from the history of art as well. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. I was telling some students, even PE is history.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people didn't believe me when I said that. Then I asked them, what is PE? Track, discus, javelin. What's all this? Ancient Greek culture.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Give thanks. Brother Leader, you wanted to make a quick intervention?
Just to crown Brother Robin's point with the words of Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan himself. He said, everything has a history, even bread and butter have a history.
Okay.
So just crowning that.
Okay, just putting some bread and butter on top. All right.
Yeah,
give thanks.
Bread and butter.
Thanks, Brother Leader.
Baba Ben's words.
Absolutely. Tina Murray. Sister Kai, do we have that caller on the line?
We have Ras Levi.
Okay. Tina Murray. Ras Levi is listening to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan and Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyofewe.com, the only de-brainwashing station, brothers and sisters. And the hotline numbers to remind you are 07538 005 634 or 07983 852 952. Ras Levi, Tendai Mrai, welcome to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. Our subject matter this evening is about the importance of our history. Do we need to know our history, Ras Levi?
Blessed love, greetings to each and everyone in their house.
Greetings to you.
Tendai Mrai.
We come to honor up our beloved Dr. Yosef Ben-Jochannan. May he rest in peace and honor to his family and all them that love him, I'm calling in to make a report as to I decided to take in some vibes of Dr. Ben whilst listening to the eyes there. And I want to make a report that the small hats have made an attack on Dr. Ben by he's actually having an interview with one of those small hats named Arthur Seltzer, and we can just look at, just observing it, we can see that Dr. Ben is tearing him up, and it's like what they've done, they've locked off the volume. There's just the video is there with no sound.
Is that something on YouTube you're saying?
No sound on this YouTube version of Dr. Yosef Ben-Jochannan versus Rabbi Small Hat Arthur Seltzer.
Rabbi Small Hat, did you say?
Well, that's the nickname we have for them, Jews, they're small hats.
All right, okay. I see.
Yeah.
All right, well, no doubt if anybody does have that particular recording debate on any sort of video or whatever, if you can post it up on YouTube with the volume, so we can tune in and listen. And thank you for that report. Thank you for that report, my brother. Very, very enlightening. Tendai Murray. We have another caller, Sister Kai.
The attack is always on, So more blessings to each and every one, and Rastafari.
Tendai Murray. Brother Robin. And another interaction there. Dr. Ben debating a Jewish scholar. He must have had numerous debates with European or Eurocentric scholars.
That's right. But when we come down to the hard core of it, there's not that much to debate, because, as I said, if Moses existed, he floated down the Nile. There's no getting around that.
Right.
He's the person that wrote their Pentateuch, their first 5 books. The first 5 books are their books of law. And then when we look at the Declarations of Innocence and you look at your 10 Commandments, there's problems.
Right.
Look at the Declarations of Innocence and the whole, So, for example, even things like the ban on pork. If you handle pigs in ancient Egypt, that automatically lowered your status.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tendai Murray. Brother Robin, we have a text from Vudum. It says, "Rise up. Do you have a class that teaches reading, translating Egyptian texts?"
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Do you know of anybody who does?
No. Well, there's a person called Sankara.
All right.
I don't know, but I don't have a contact for him, but I know he teaches it.
Right, okay.
Probably the most learned person on hieroglyphics in our community is Sankara's one. Kwaku?
Right, Kwaku Bonsu.
Yes.
Okay.
He's awesome.
All right.
Proper awesome. So, but I don't know who anybody else who teaches it.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, brothers and sisters. We've got a couple of people.
And I think the Galaxy Management just informed us that they have a contact for Sankara, so I'm sure they'll give that to us for brothers and sisters to connect with. We do have another text.
Thank you for that question. Very important.
We do have another text, and it says, "How significant is the work of Baba Ben in uncovering knowledge of the culture, philosophy, and spirituality of ancient Kemet and Nubia?"
Very, very important. Essentially, his book was called, he did a trilogy called The Black Man's Religion. And one of those was called African Origins of the Major Western Religions. He did another one called The Myth of Genesis and Exodus. And he did another book called The Need for a Black Man's Bible.
Yes.
That trilogy was an eye-opener, because this is where, Proverbs 22 in the Bible?
Enlighten us, my brother.
Yeah, it's a copy of the ancient Egyptian text, the Book of Amenemope.
Right.
Word for word.
Okay.
Yeah? In other words, they didn't even bother changing anything. Word for word.
Okay.
So, essentially, Dr. Ben proves 3 points. You've got, with Judaism, you've got the prophet Moses. With Christianity, you've got the Saint Augustine. Saint Augustine was a black man.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah? And then for Islam, you've got Bilal, who is described as 1/3 of Islam.
Right.
Yeah, where Allah is the first and the Prophet is the second. Right, so what it means then is that when it comes to the origins of these religions, not only were we movers and shakers in the ancient world, we were movers and shakers in the modern world. Dr. Ben talks about the role of people like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, people like Father Divine, people like Rabbi Wentworth. In other words, people who were doing things to evolve religion in the 20th century. And an intellectual case could be made that Malcolm X is the most important Muslim of the 20th century. An intellectual case could be made that Martin Luther King is the most important Christian of the 20th century. Right? And if you look at the influence these people had, was huge.
Definitely.
Yeah? So, and again, Dr. Ben was the first person to make that kind of connection. Similarly, the way that Martin Luther King would deliver a sermon, the use of dramatic pause, repetition, and so on. Dr. Ben compares that to the kind of spirituality that would happen in a voodoo type of ceremony.
All right.
Yeah? And the whole, the kind of thing that black Christians do, getting into the spirit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, I know that black Christians don't want to hear this, so if you're a black Christian, close your ears right now.
Okay, and if you're not, open your ears wide.
Tradition right there. They don't want to hear that. They want to think that's Holy Spirit. Yeah? It's African tradition, because if you go into European churches, that doesn't happen, as you know. Yeah?
We know the charismatic people are trying to do something.
They're trying a thing, but that's what they're doing.
They're lifting up their hands.
People listening to this can check this out. If you hear white preachers,
exactly spontaneous.
No.
It's premeditated and well practiced.
That's right. Well rehearsed.
There's a difference.
There's a difference. Sorry, Brother Robin, you were saying.
Yeah, if you check out white preachers, probably the best one is the Reverend Jimmy Swaggart.
Uh-huh.
Yeah? In terms of power and spirituality and so on, in terms of what he's able to do, right? But even he doesn't compare to the black preachers.
Right.
Even he does.
Absolutely.
Between him and you know what I'm saying?
And the average.
Yeah, the average black preacher will mash him up.
Right.
You know, and again, there's the whole thing that the black Americans call it hooping. Yeah, there's a particular way that they preach, almost like they're singing. Yeah, with all the gestures, the movement, the James Brown moves, and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
Basically, that doesn't happen in white church.
I'm glad you made the James Brown connection as well, my brother.
Oh, yeah.
I think only you could have done that. Okay, we got a couple of callers, Brother Robin. So stay, brothers and sisters, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan and Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyfeed.com. We have on the line Sister Kai.
Sister Caroline.
Tindamara, Sister Caroline, welcome to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. Our subject matter, why do we need to know our history, my sister?
I just want to put across a general point. I mean, this is a fascinating conversation, and it always frustrates me when, Galaxy is doing excellent work, and I obviously, like many people, although I am of an age, I think you go for a re-consciousness, and I've started to buy up books like Robin Walker and so on. What I want to ask, it's very basic, is how do we get this stuff, into the schools, into the youth clubs, but particularly onto the curriculum? I know there are Saturday schools and supplementary schools and people's sitting rooms and barbecues and whatnot, but how do you fight for this history to be put right at the center of the curriculum? I am aware that there has been some debate with the former Secretary of State, Michael Gove, over issues of history, and he would put it under something like world history, which is another dismissive title similar to world music. So I would like to ask Robin Walker, how would Dr. Ben would have liked this? I mean, was he part of a movement, or is there another layer of people that are part of a movement to get this into schools?
Thank you very much, my sister, for your contribution. We got a few other callers on the line, so we've logged your question, and we're going to interact with another caller, our next caller. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. You're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy 102.5 FM. Sister Kai, the caller ready for us?
We have Brother Tony.
My brother Tony, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan. Why do we need to know our history, my brother?
I didn't call to answer that question. I called to ask a question. In the scheme of things, where does this brilliant man put, Christ in his kingly character, Haile Selassie? What is his view, and what does he think of Haile Selassie in this modern time? The true and living.
All right.
I would like to hear his infinite wisdom on this. Where does Selassie come into the scheme of things?
All right then. Give thanks.
Thank you very much, my brother. Right, we've got to move it quickly, brothers and sisters. We've got to keep it moving.
Yes, we have Brother Gabriel on the line. Tendamori, Brother Gabriel, how would you like to join the discussion this evening?
Brother Gabriel? Hopefully, Brother Gabriel is connecting to 07538 005 634. If not, you can do so, brothers and sisters. Or 07983 852 952. Brother Gabriel gone?
Gabriel,
can I find Gabriel? Brother Gabriel, we will get back to you.
But we do have a couple of texters.
Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
And these texters are saying, "Greetings, Galaxy. Alkebu-Lan, is it possible for Brother Robin? Is it possible for Brother Robin to do a seminar on the Sumerian? They study astrology and they have seen something extraordinary in the sky. What did they see? Okay. Yeah, what did they see? And we have another text. It says, evening family, I don't believe the information should be distributed to schools unless they are strictly African learning environments. We have another text here and it says, hold on, let me get this one. Rise up. I just left the car and don't know if you answer my question. Do you have a class that teaches reading Egyptian text?
Yes, we did answer your question. If you tuned in now, Galaxy has the information. Brother Kwaku Bonsu and also Brother Sankara. But they have Galaxy Radio has the contact, so you can.
And we have another question here. Hold on.
All right. While we're finding out who that is, Sister Kai, let's get back to Brother Robin. Brother Robin. First of all, our first sister, whose name, unfortunately, my sister, do apologize, I've forgotten your name, but she, did you get her question, Brother Robin?
Yeah, the question was getting this information to schools.
On the curriculum, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm doing a lecture on that very same subject tomorrow.
Right.
I'm doing a lecture in Northwest London called What You Should Be Teaching Young People About Black History.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Precisely about getting it into schools.
That's what you call timing. So, are we able to access this? I know you do some stuff on what's that platform called? I forget what the platform is called. But how can we access this lecture if we're not in Northwest London?
People need to get to Northwest London. That's what I can.
Sorry. I do apologize. Yes, most definitely. Where is it? Where is it?
When?
Okay, it's a barbershop, actually.
It's in a barbershop.
Simply the Best in Dollis Hill.
Right.
And the event is 7:15 to 9:15 tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me get the proper address. I'm just waiting to pull up a particular page.
Okay.
Let's try and pull up this page.
All right. I wonder if you can pull up as well as deal with a couple of other questions. We have a brother who asked about Haile Selassie. How was Haile Selassie regarded by?
I was at a presentation where Dr. Ben and Rastafari had bust up.
Right.
Over this issue, but certainly he didn't deal with it in his books.
Okay.
So all I can talk about is what happened when they had the bus stop, but it didn't appear in his books.
Yeah, there is a bit of contention there, and I think that's probably where I should leave it.
And I can tell you exactly when that happened. It was in October 2001, Brother Robin.
Right. Okay.
You know, I was there, innit?
Yes.
Me and Florrie were there.
Yeah.
All right. Simply the Best Barbers, 365 Willesden High Road. Simply the Best Barbers, 365 Willesden High Road.
Okay, wonderful.
Near Dollis Hill.
Right,
15.
Right, we're going to get a contact number later on, Robin, because we want everybody to come out and hear you. So forget what I said earlier. Right, okay, Tendai, my brothers and sisters. Do we have any more calls, Sister Kai?
Yes, we have Brother Okelu.
Brother Okelu is tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan and Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafriwi.com. The lines, brothers and sisters. He's there. Tenamroy, Brother Okelu. Welcome to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan.
This is Okelo, 12164. I would like to say Hotep to everybody in the
Hotep.
To Hotep to Sebo Robin Walker. And I would just like to say Webele Ino to about 3 quarters ago, I think. who posed the question of the relevance of history to us as Africans. That was a beautiful question, of course, and beautifully answered by our brother Sebo Robin Walker. Also, I'd like to ask Sebo, Brother Walker, is there any, or at least I know there must be emphasis. What emphasis is there placed on the deciphering of the Meroitic script by chemitologists, leave alone the so-called Egyptologists, but the chemitologists, in order to know more about the mother of Kemetu, or like to say Kemetu, or ancient Egypt? What is the emphasis there being placed?
Right. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you for your contribution to Namari. Before we get that caller, Brother Robin, what emphasis is there placed on deciphering the Meroitic script?
Yeah, basically, there's an African-American scholar, Dr. Clyde Ahmad Winters. He used to be on my chat room back in the day. I think he still posts on my chat room, actually. He has published a decipherment. Now, his decipherment is very, very controversial. Some scholars accept it, others don't, right? But he believes that he has got the key to reading the Meroitic script, and he's published some inscriptions. So the scholar to look up is Dr. Clyde Ahmad Winters. But the controversy over his work is massive, and it's not simply a black-white thing. Black people love him, white people hate him. Black scholars themselves are divided over his work. All right? But of all the black scholars, he's the only one that's come with something. So that's the guy, Dr. Clyde Ahmad Winters.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Brother Robin. We got another caller, Sister Kai?
Yes, we do. We have Sister Kinaya. Tendan Mori, Sister Kinaya. How do you want to join the discussion this evening?
Tendan Mori, Sister Kinaya, are you there? Okay, we can't get her at the moment.
Hello, can I pose another question quickly?
All right, okay. Yes, my brother. Real quick.
Yes. I sometimes look at pictures on the internet of the house of Amos I, the 18th dynasty, and I see the representations of Yuya and Tuya especially appear to have Caucasoid hair. But there's a theory that some of these mummies may be actually fake or fake representation, possibly of the Hyksos servants of the house, or at least later Greco-Roman mummies put in place in order to try and dissuade people from thinking about African origins of the 18th dynasty. How is this being seen, or at least being looked into, in terms of the possible fakery of representations of certain mummies?
Tenamar? Murray. First of all, I'd like to say what another absolutely fantastic subject matter and show on Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy. It's only right that we honour Baba Ben-Jochannan, and I have to say you've definitely chosen one of the best people to be able to speak on Baba Ben-Jochannan. I myself, in terms of the actual question, in terms of our African history, in terms of the relevance, I have to say that I am almost 11 years ago, I was actually a student of your guest, Brother Robin Walker, myself. And for me, I found that being able to learn about my history has helped to open my eyes to so many things. And for me, I was able to learn that it is the framework for everything that I see and do. And our history is just so rich. It's absolutely beautiful. It's just made me be so proud of being African, and just be able to just stand even taller and prouder. And, and I give thanks to Brother Robin Walker's Black History course back then, almost 11 years ago. And I remember specifically at that time, there was a shop in Finsbury Park called Yomanja. And I remember that after my first lesson, I just bought 7 books one time because I was just so excited to learn about my history. So, when we're talking about, the relevance, Tenamari?
Yes, we're listening to you, my sister.
When we're talking about the relevance, think about how it is in terms of it eventually finding out that you have purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
There is a framework to help guide you through your life.
Wonderful.
In terms of relevance, just look at it in that aspect and the excitement that it brings to a child when they find something that they truly connect with.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that, sister.
Leave it there because I know time is
Yes, indeed it is. Thank you very much. Right. Do we have any? Can I connect back with Brother Robin, Sister Kai?
Connect with
right.
Brother Robin.
Then my Brother Robin. Right. You had a couple of other questions there. We had Sister Kinaya, one of your scholars, one of your students. Even I'll get there. From back in the day, Robin. The tremendous impact that you have had, and certainly the information that you've brought, and no doubt the dynamic way that you bring it.
I was going to say, Brother Omowale, we've got an extension until 10:30, so let brothers and sisters know.
Well, I think you've done that, my sister.
Yeah,
I'm happy to do it again. We have an extension until 10:30, Sister Kai.
And just to say that if Brother Robin,
if
you can be tight with some of your comments, because we have a number of questions.
Brother
from the
Robin,
texters.
are you okay for another half an hour?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, bless you, my brother. Give thanks and praises, brothers and sisters. I hope you're okay for another half an hour, because you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafewi.com, the only de-brainwashing station. You can interact with us, as many people are now, on 07538 005634. They must have heard about the extension. 07983 852 952. You can still text us, brothers and sisters, on 07572 222 156. Sister Kai, we got another caller there.
We do. We have Brother Kwame.
Is that Brother Kwame from Nottingham again?
I'm not sure, Brother Kwame.
My Brother Kwame?
Yes, I wanted to talk about the relation between studying history and black leadership.
Go ahead.
Okay. Please keep your question tight, my brother.
If we study history, we learn all the ways in the past that we have been brainwashed, tricked, sabotaged, and robbed, and therefore we can avoid 95% of the brainwashing, tricks, sabotage, and robbery. And if we can do that, we can make dramatic progress. But unfortunately, many African people are busy chasing a few jobs, working to keep their jobs, and being entertained, and so they neglect African history. And these people are especially vulnerable to being brainwashed, to being tricked, to being sabotaged and robbed. And they don't understand the tactics of the enemies of black people, so they cannot build anything African that lasts. And often these people are chosen as leaders, but they are weak, and they cannot change anything, and they will fail. So my suggestion is that if black people want to make positive change, first we must study African history, and we must work with people who have studied African history. And black people who have not studied African history and who do not speak about African history are not ready to make change. So I'm associating the study of black history with people who can lead our community to make progress and create a solid foundation for everyone. And I think you will note that many of the people speaking for the black community very rarely talk about anything to do with African history. Okay.
Well, I guess it's down to who actually chose them. But thank you very much for your contribution, Brother Kwame. Tendai Murray. Sister Kai, we got another caller there?
No, we don't have another caller.
Okay.
We have a text. Is Jesus black? Do you believe that he is coming again? If yes, to do what? And that's to Brother Robin Walker, if you can answer that question.
Brother Robin, did you get that question from Sister Kai?
Unfortunately, I mean, I'm a Christian, but I have a hard time believing whether...
Why is that unfortunate, my brother?
No, he was...
No, I'm coming to it. I have a hard time believing that such a person was even a flesh and blood person.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the early Christians didn't see Jesus as a flesh and blood person. You follow me?
Yeah.
It was a spiritual concept. It wasn't a flesh and blood concept. So once you give it a flesh and blood concept, then you have to give it a flesh and blood story. Yeah? And then the result is then Christians end up shooting themselves in the foot because the flesh and blood story that they ended up giving Christianity happens to be the horror story, which is a bit embarrassing, really. So I prefer to say was not a real person, but was a concept.
Right.
And that's the way around I'd say it. Now, was the concept seen as black or white? The Daily Mail, my favorite newspaper, done a number of articles in the last year. They found an image which they think is supposed to represent Jesus in an Egyptian cave. And the image is completely faded, but what you can see is short, woolly hair.
Okay. Right. How long was that, Brother Robin?
Within the last year, the Daily Mail, I couldn't even find the article. Within the last year, they believe it's the oldest image they've got representing Jesus.
That's quite revolutionary for your favorite newspaper, if you don't mind me saying so, Brother Robin.
Huh?
That's quite revolutionary for your favorite newspaper, my brother.
Oh yeah. Trust me. All black people should read the Daily Mail. I'm not joking either. Same paper had an article on there's a piece of, I think, 3rd or 4th century glass. Yeah? And it's supposed to have, again, another Jesus image. And again, the image has definitely got woolly hair.
Right.
In other words, the kind of long-haired Michelangelo nonsense, that didn't exist.
Okay.
Right. Okay, thank you very much for that. Sister Kai's got a number of questions for you,
from our
Robin. So please get your pen and...
Be tight. We have greetings. I heard Robin talking about putting together an African education curriculum for school children. Has he completed it yet? And that's from Brother Paul.
Right.
Yes.
And also they should attend the lecture in Willesden. Is it Willesden Green?
Yeah, it's near Dollis Hill.
Right.
It's called Simply the Best Barbers, 365 Willesden High Road.
Willesden High Road.
Dollis Hill, tomorrow, 7:15.
Right.
£5 to get in. It's called What You Should Teach Young People About Black History. Lecture discussion with me.
Right. Great stuff. Okay. Next quick question, Sister Kai. You got a caller.
Okay.
Tenamari caller, you're live on Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM. What's your contribution this evening? Okay, he doesn't.
Go ahead.
He or she doesn't want to interact with us. I'm only joking.
Okay.
Tenamari, brothers and sisters, just to remind you the numbers again: 07538 005 634 or 07983 852 952. You can still text us as Sister Kai is finding out. They are on 07572 222 156. Go ahead, Sister Kai.
It says, this is from Kilimanjaro. It says, why we need to understand our history is the fact that we do not celebrate our scholars when they are alive, but only when they are dead. Why? Secondly, we have no dignity as Africans to allow Dr. Ben to die in a nursing home. And also, how poor was he when he died? It is time we learn to celebrate our best and hang on to them when they are alive so they don't die poor. And that's from Kilimanjaro. Do you want to comment on that at all, Brother Robin? Wow. Probably Brother Robin does want to comment on that.
Okay, then right.
Right. He's not linked in to cover up on that. And there you are, Brother Robin. Do you want to comment on that?
No, but it's going to sound like self-interest, isn't it?
No, go ahead. No, not at all.
Well, you see, can you see? It's going to sound like me being very self-interested.
Brother Robin?
All of us on this road.
You're one of the most humble people that we know. Just express it, my brother.
No, I mean, the brother's right. We do need to support our scholars, yeah? But I'm not being self-interested.
You said that already, bro. Just keep going.
No, I mean, other people as well. You know, you've got other people trying to drop knowledge on the community. You've got Tony Warner. You've got Steve Martin. You've got Andrew Mohammed. You've got other people, Kandasi Chimbiri, other people dropping knowledge on the community, trying to spread the information.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's sad to know that he passed in a nursing home. I always said that about Queen Mother Moore. she was 98 and she died in what they call a poorhouse. And you thought, I think, how did that happen? Why?
That's right.
It just doesn't seem right.
But I think, Tendai Mwari, I think in fairness to the aspects of the relevant aspects of the African community in the U.S., there were people who were rallying around.
Yeah.
You know, Brother Astra Kwesi,
yeah.
I know, had regular contact.
Yeah, Runoko Rashidi.
Runoko Rashidi, Anthony Browder, Baba Kwaku Duah, Leonard Jeffries.
And they were sending funds for him. But, you sort of think, well, why is he in a home?
Yeah.
Why isn't there... Why don't we have a fund?
We don't know what his domestic circumstances are. We know he has children. We don't know where his children lived, etc. We don't know the reason why.
No, it wasn't his children I was thinking about. Even I'm talking about us as a community. How did we allow that?
Yeah, I'm saying we don't know what the domestic circumstances were. And maybe it's something that we need to look into. But I think just coming from a positive angle, there were leading individuals within our community who were taking an active, keen interest in the welfare, the well-being of Baba Ben, who had put out, universal calls for support for raising funds for Baba Ben's care and well-being. There are people who used to pick him up, take him to events. He was, up until maybe a year or so ago, he was still speaking publicly. People would pick him up, take him to events. People would go and see him, sit down to listen to him. In fact, if you go on YouTube, you'll see videos of him sitting in a wheelchair, but people visiting him and interviewing him, keeping him engaged with the community. So just looking at that, I'm not saying that there aren't lessons to be learned. I'm sure that there are lessons to be learned here. And we must value our scholars and our activists and our liberation organizations and institutions a lot more than we tend to. But we must also be aware of the positive undertakings as well.
Definitely.
Tendai
Mwari. And our text of Vudum Vudum, beautiful vibration.
Around in here at Galaxy, we've been raising it up from since, a good 18 months now and forward. So you can get involved. It's an expression of interest to this email address. membership@galaxyafiwi.com. So it's an expression of interest to that email address, membership@galaxyafiwi.com. So why join something if it doesn't benefit you? And most definitely, the family.
United we stand.
It is beneficial.
But together we can change the world.
So send a expression of interest if you want to become part of the Galaxy family. It's an expression of interest to membership@galaxyafiwi.com. If you don't have an email, then listen, you can just do it this way.
If you've got any mail for Galaxy, for any of the pilots on Galaxy Radio or Galaxy mailing addresses, 178A Schumert Road, Peckham, SE15 4AB. If you've got any mail for Galaxy, for any of the pilots on Galaxy Radio or Galaxy mailing addresses, 178A Schumert Road, Peckham, SE15 4AB.
All right, so that's the other way you can get your information to the big G. All right, we give thanks. So join the family.
United we stand, divided we fall, but together we can change the world. Latest headlines, breaking news. People are realize and getting less confused, y'all. Extra.
Tonight, my brothers and sisters, you're tuned to Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyafiwi.com, the only de-brainwashing station. We're blessed to have with us, brothers and sisters, our eminent scholar, number one scholar in the UK, Brother Robin Walker. We're honoring the life of Baba Ben-Jochannan, and we're asking the question this evening, brothers and sisters, why do we need to know our history? Tell them, Sister Kai.
We have a text here, and it says, is African-centered history a dying profession among the next generation, or are there promising prospects?
Tell my Brother Robin, did you get that question?
I did hear that question, yeah.
Good question.
Sadly, it's dying. And it's dying to such an extent. The African Americans who've been leading the game for such a long time are largely running out of steam. The people that we've lost in the last few years, nobody of their stature is replacing them. And if you consider that when it comes to book production, the most important people doing it is me and my colleague Fari Supia. And the fact that we're the leading in terms of book production, that's pretty sad. So I'm trying to do...
Are you talking about UK now, or are you talking about globally?
Globally, yeah. I mean, serious books on African-centered, from an African-centered perspective. There's only two of us doing it.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, there may be scholars in French doing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't read French, and I do know French-speaking scholars, but they seem to have a scene, we have a scene, we're not even speaking to each other, in truth. Right? And then when it comes to the reproduction of scholars, like reproducing the next generation, I'm doing my bit, I'm teaching teachers, but I don't know who else is doing that.
Right. Well, Tindamara,
you have people like Brother Ashra Kwesi, Anthony Browder.
Well, Brother Robin spoke to the brothers and sisters in the States, but are they replenishing themselves? Are they reproducing themselves? We're not hearing about many up and coming scholars.
Well, I'm aware that Anthony Browder is part of some excavation that's taking place in Egypt. Are you aware of that?
That's right. Yeah.
You want to elaborate?
But Anthony Browder's most important book was 92. You know, he did the book Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's 92.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm trying to find is people in their 30s, people in the, coming up that Anthony Browder, that generation trained, who are looking to take over. See that generation. They're not producing books.
Are you able to elaborate on the excavation taking place in Egypt presently, Kemet?
Is that there's a 25th dynasty period. 25th dynasty is the period where the Kushites rule Egypt. And what's happening is that Anthony Browder and some other African Americans have actually put the money together to finance that dig. And they're discovering a tomb, and the tomb has got on it reproductions of old kingdom art and religion. In other words, what the Kushites were doing was going back to olden times, what we would now call Renaissance. So the first people to look at our culture and say, we need to take from the old and run with it now. So that's the importance of what Anthony Browder and these people are digging up.
Brilliant.
Give thanks for that.
Okay.
Just in terms of the preservation of Afrocentric scholarship, Brother Robin, in addition to writing books, which is, of course, profoundly important, there was a work that our great scholars have done on the college and university front in the United States of America in particular, and the trips to Kemet and so on. To what extent are you able to comment on how much that is still going on?
Oh, that's still going on. The whole Tours of Egypt thing?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, even in this country, we've got people doing that.
Yeah.
So that's still big, and they're still taking a lot of people to see their heritage.
How much importance would you put on that, Brother Robin?
Oh, it is important, but unless there's the books behind it, we're not producing curricula after curricula after curricula. That's where my thing is, because unless it's in book form, you can't teach it.
Right. How? Any suggestions, my brother? I know you're on the front line on your own, so to speak. Any suggestions on ways to try to encourage our young people? You know, people like you said in the 30s, etc. To be the next generation of Robin Walkers, of Baba Ben-Jochannan, etc., etc.
Yeah, all I can say is if people are interested, I teach courses. People can come study with me.
Right.
I teach, my base is in Croydon, and yeah, come study with me.
Right, okay. And we know from Sister Kenaya the benefit she's had of your wonderful tuition. Tindamwari. Sister Kai?
Right, we have another text here. It says, regarding the origin of Arabs and Jews, black people seem to spend a lot of time trying to prove they are black. I wonder if this stops us from appreciating our more ancient and unadulterated black contemporary African nations. I wonder what your guest thinks about this.
Honest opinion, I absolutely agree with the text. One of the things that makes my research a bit different to most of the other scholars is that, for me, the centerpiece of African history is sub-Saharan Africa, which means I respect Kemet, I respect what the Kemetans did, but the problem is that Egypt isn't black today, and so people visit Egypt today, they're not actually visiting a black country today, they're not spending their money with black people today. And that's the reason why, for me, it's very, very important that we get to know and love the parts of Africa that's where black people are still the dominant people, where we still got a heritage worth looking at. And that's one of the reasons why I like to popularize the sub-Saharan African civilizations, like Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, like Nok, Igbo, Yoruba, and Benin, like Congo, like Ndongo and Matamba, like the Swahili city-states, like Great Zimbabwe and Munu-Mutapa. So we can see where we've got historical evidence, monumental evidence, manuscript evidence, fine art evidence in Africa today where black people still are at. And if people go and visit that, they'll at least be spending money with black people.
All right.
Yeah, I recognize that as a debate that Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan used to have with Baba John Henrik Clarke, who used to emphasize exactly, but the latter, who used to emphasize exactly what you're saying there, Brother Robin.
Appreciate.
Okay, Tenamari, we got a caller on the line, Sister Kai. Tenamari,
yes, we have Colin from South Norwood.
Tenamari, and good evening.
Tenamari. Welcome to Africa Speaks, my brother.
Thank you to the Alkebu-Lan revivalist movement for a show of this importance, and thank you also for bringing Professor Robin Walker back to our airwaves. Professor Walker and some of the earlier contributors have expressed some of the concerns I have around the issues that arise from the life and transition of Dr. Ben. Can I ask a question I don't think has yet been asked, if Professor Walker is able to hear me? Professor Walker, I wonder if you could comment on the transition, the intellectual transition, if it can be described as such, that Dr. Ben made from his early academic and professional training in engineering and architecture to that of a historian. I've noted a similar phenomenon in the case of Sheikh Anta Diop, who I think was also a African multi-genius, not only a historian but an anthropologist and a physicist. I'm aware that another of our greats, Professor Dr. Tony Martin, was originally an economist, and I'm also aware that originally you too, Professor Walker, were an economist before you followed the field of history. Could you say what, if anything, this teaches us about the need for multidisciplinary African geniuses?
Don't forget his musical contribution as well, Brother Colin.
I was unaware of the
Jazz Warriors.
To his bow.
You need to link Brother Olatunji quickly, my brother, about the Jazz Warriors. Brother Robin, did you get all that? All right, Tendamrai, we're just going to connect with Brother Robin. Tendamrai, Brother Robin, did you get Brother Colin's question?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, right.
Yeah. You want me to answer it?
Please, yes, if you can respond.
One of the reasons why people had to switch to dealing with history is because the historians were not representing. When you find out just how important our history is, and how few people are dealing with it, if you don't represent, nobody else is going to. So you'll find that, yes, I'm an economist. I write history books. Professor de Graaf Johnson was an economist. He wrote African Glory.
Brilliant book.
I think Dr. Finch is a medical doctor, professor of medicine. He writes African history books because the historians are not representing. And if it doesn't get documented, nobody does it. And as far as trying to become multidisciplinary, my role model is very, very much my tutor, the very great Dr. Femi Biko.
All right.
Who is a person who can speak on as many different... I mean, you could ask him, you know, I need a lecture on Caribbean sociology and male-female relationships in the 60s. He'd say, right, give me 2 hours. 2 hours later, he'd put something together. Somebody else could call him up. I need something on Yoruba art. Okay, give me a couple of hours. 2 hours later, he'd put something together. And that type of being able to speak on as many different subjects as possible, I very, very much admire that, and that's one of the things I've tried to emulate.
Okay, right. Give thanks and praises to Namar, brother leader.
Tenamwari, I just wanted to add to that, Brother Robin.
Yes, sir.
That if you hear, well, I can speak in regards to Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan and Baba Tony Martin, because I've heard both of them speak about their own journey. And notwithstanding their backgrounds, their other academic backgrounds, in fact, Baba Tony Martin was also a qualified barrister. Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan was also studied in, I think he had a master's in cultural anthropology, and also studied law. So he walked in his father's footsteps, and he dabbled, he studied law. And has a number of degrees. But if you speak to both of them, what they said is that they felt unfulfilled in following through these courses, these pursuits or these professional pursuits. They felt unfulfilled. It's almost as though they were searching. It's a spiritual thing for them, and these professions did not fill that spiritual gap. And it is when they started to study history and the relevance of that to the huge vacuum that existed in the proper representation of African history and the need for that vacuum to be filled. It is as though that vocation gripped their souls.
A calling.
It was a calling, yeah? And once they got into that course of study, it's like they found their calling. When you hear them speak, that's the message certainly that comes through that comes through to me.
Brother Robin, does that resonate with you? You found your calling?
Yeah, true say. It's not because I was unfulfilled doing what I was doing. It's you didn't realize that it's just not important. It's not important. Other people could do this, but when it comes to dealing with history and giving people a proper sense of self, that's important.
But Baba Yosef, Baba Ben did actually say, when he was going through his journey, he didn't feel fulfilled, practicing these professions until he started to study history and teach history.
Okay.
Tenamwari. We have Brother Paul. He texts already, and he said, "Greetings, Robin. Greetings. Did Robin say that he had finished his black education curriculum for children?"
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay. And how do we access that?
Tomorrow I'll be having, I've got something called 19 Lessons on Black History. I'm studying that tomorrow.
Simply the best, brothers and sisters. Simply the best, Barbers. 7:15 to 9:15, 365 Willesden High Road. And we're going to get a number from Brother Robin at the end of the program.
Tenamwari, I'm sure we're going to be bringing Brother Robin to East London to probably deliver the same presentation as well.
We got to do it like yesterday.
There's no probability about it, We're going to have a conversation with Brother Robin.
Yeah, because it's not only West London should get all the goodies.
No, we're feeling very jealous at the moment.
Mind you, we're in South London.
We're getting very territorial.
We're in South London, brother. We're not in East London, so mine are you talk.
I've always loved South London.
Me too. East London, the beacon of...
It's just West. It's just West London,
Tenamwari. We have Dulani says, "Greetings in the honourable spirit of our great ancestors. I would like to pay tribute to our Grand Master Teacher, Dr. Ben. He has changed the world of scholarship. We will never be the same again. Thank you for helping us recover our African mind. Ascend in power, Dr. Ben. We have... Oh, he says here from Brother Paul, greetings. Will Robin be putting his book on the internet for us to listen to in audio format? Can you answer that one?
Yes, I can. I can't really do that because
such a lot of stuff.
Textbook.
Yes.
Yeah.
In other words, because the whole point of it is for people to be able to read the questions. It can't go in an audio format because it just wouldn't work.
It's a study. There's a study guide that accompanies the book as well, isn't it? The recent.
You mean when we ruled?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think that's the question they're asking.
Oh, sorry. I'll just come back out of the conversation. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Question: when does Brother Robbins? Oh, so when do your next course start?
In September.
September. Okay.
And where? In Croydon.
Croydon.
Okay.
Croydon. The place is called Croydon Supplementary Education Project. The easiest thing to do is for people to send me an email if they're interested. My email is historicalwalker@yahoo.com, and then I can let people know nearer the time.
Okay. We have another texter here, and it says, if one is looking to become an African-centered scholar, historian, what advice would Robin Walker give? And is it enough to just source documentation, or does one need to travel to uncover and update history firsthand? And before you answer that, let's listen to this.
Alkebu-Lan presents Nomo, the monthly sessions on the last Friday of every month. This month, on Friday the 27th of March 2015, Race or Class, the Claudia Jones Dilemma. Celebrating Claudia Jones' centenary, creator of Notting Hill Carnival and the UK's first African newspaper, the West Indian Gazette. Delivered by award-winning activist and broadcaster Sister Kai Awakadawu Bandaka of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement. Nomo, Race or Class, the Claudia Jones Dilemma. Celebrating Claudia Jones' centenary, Friday the 27th of March 2015. Takes place at Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road Leighton, London E10 5PW. Doors open at 7 p.m. and admission is a mere £3. Under 21s are free. Coming straight from work, don't worry, hot food will be on sale. Books, DVDs and educational materials are also on sale. For more information, contact 0208 539 2154 or 07908 814 152. www.alkebulan.org. That's ALKEBULAN.org. NOMO supports the National African People's Parliament. Alkebu-Lan NOMO.
Yes, Alkebu-Lan NOMO taking place this Kuumba this Friday at 7 p.m. at Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road Leighton, and we are honouring Mama Claudia Jones, the centenary of her birth, and we are looking at the question of race, class, and
really the dilemma that faced Mama Claudia Jones, race or class. And that is this Friday, brothers and sisters, the 27th of March. And our current Women of Substance champion, Sister Kai, will be delivering the message there for you, brothers and sisters, at Alkebu-Lan headquarters. That's 282 High Road, Leighton, E10 5PW. We look forward to seeing you there. Tendai Mori.
We have another text, and it says, around here we say Tendai Mori. There are many Muslim scholars trying to disprove the work of Dr. Ben in relation to the Kemetic origins of Abrahamic religions. They argue that Islam did not derive from or was not influenced by Kemetic spirituality. What are Robin Walker's thoughts on this? I think you can touch on that already.
Simple. It's as simple as that. Here's the thing. There's no... Islam itself is a derivative of Judaism and Christianity. Once you know that Judaism is of African origin, once you know that Christianity is of African origin, then Islam is automatically of African origin.
Okay, Tenamore. We have a text here. It says, are you suppressing the news about Barack Obama visit to Jamaica? No, we are not suppressing the news, Brother Enoch. This is not our subject today. He sent that text earlier and I didn't read it because it was not our subject today. So please see if you can join the subject that we're discussing today, honoring Baba Ben.
Yeah.
Let me answer one more question as well. Somebody asked the question, what does a young scholar need to do?
Yes.
Oh, yes, very important question. Yes.
Yeah, very simply. The most important thing is the standard of black studies was set by Dr. Maulana Karenga. He wrote a book called Introduction to Black Studies.
Yes.
Where he describes black studies as being partly about black history, partly about sociology, psychology, politics, economics, art, religion, and literature. And that is the foremost text. So essentially, master that book. And don't just, once you finish reading it, read some of the books that he read to put that book together. And if you're in this country, the most important thing is see how those theories relate to Black Britain, where the holes are, and what you can do to plug those holes.
Right.
There's a scholar in Nottingham, Paul Ifeanyi Grant, who's done a lot to plug some of those holes. More people need to get involved, though, and that way we can really develop radical black studies in this country.
Right, and of course, I know you're going to be at the forefront of that, Brother Robin, because I would imagine that another thing that they would need to do is connect with yourself as well, and you've given us your email already, and that is historicalwalker at yahoo.com, was it? Historicalwalker at yahoo.com, brothers and sisters. Those are you budding historians, budding Afrocentric scholars. Brother Robin, he also mentioned about primary sources as well, actually going to the actual sites as well. I don't know if you commented on that as well.
Yeah, let me answer that. In real talk, when I wrote When We Ruled, I hadn't visited anywhere.
Right.
Now, going to primary sources and going to sites, you do learn things, as I've since found out. But the amount that you learn, it doesn't add that much to what you've already got. It adds, but not that much.
Right.
Yeah. Most important thing, master sources. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Give thanks for that, Brother Robin. My brothers and sisters, we're coming to the close of our show, brothers and sisters. And, one of the things about tonight's program in honor of Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan is, there is a little bit of a sadness as well in terms of the paucity or the lack of regeneration, if you like, of Afrocentric scholars, as our brother Robin kind of laid it out, in terms of in the US, in the UK as well. So, brothers and sisters, as a community, we've got a lot to do. We want to study the works of people like Yosef Ben-Jochannan and also our great brother Robin Walker. Tenamore, Sister Kai.
Yeah, Tenamore. Brother Robin, just before you give us your closing word, this is a text from Sister Caroline. She says, by the by, where are the African women in our history, her story? Are there any African women scholars in this area?
Kandasi Chimbiri. Google her. She's got a company called Golden Destiny.
All right. Yes, we are familiar.
Yes, she's produced a few children's books.
She has indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make the point now. You know when people say, "Oh, she's produced some children's books," that ain't no big thing. A lot of people reading her children's books don't know that information.
Yeah,
they really don't. So, I mean, two of her books I do actually recommend to adults.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're more than they're more than children's books. So we give thanks for Sister.
Well, I usually see children's books as somebody have to be quite skillful to break down a lot of high intellectual information to a child's level. So they usually have to understand it to bring it to a child's level anyway.
Amen. Special skill.
That skill to do that.
Amen.
Amen. Ra.
Kandasi Chimbiri is one of the future scholars in Black Britain.
Indeed. Tinamradi. Brother Robin, it's been a pleasure having you on our show this evening.
Word.
You have enlightened us with a great deal of knowledge and wisdom, and also, as I was saying earlier on, you have given us some insight into the life of Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan and the contributions that he's made.
Can I just ask, sorry, Brother Omowale, I don't know if Brother Robin answered this question from Sister Carol. She called in earlier about the issue of ensuring African world history is part of the UK education curriculum. Did you address that already?
Yes, he referenced his referenced his presentation that he's going to do at Simply the Best Barbers, 7:15 to 9:15.
Right, fine.
365 Rosen Road.
Text again.
All right, Tenamara. Right, yes, my brother. Just in closing, yeah. So please, if you can just sum it all up for us, my brother. Tenamara.
Okay, very simply, the reason why people need to respect Professor Yosef Ben-Jochannan is that he's a pioneer in so many different areas. A lot of the problems in African history that, if you like, blocked black people from claiming their history, he was one of the people that cleared away some of the problems. There's a problem in African history called the true Negro hypothesis. This is the idea that the people of Africa don't belong to one race, but belong to separate races, with stupid names like Negroes, Bantus, Hottentots, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
That type of nonsense, again, Dr. Ben was the first person to slap that.
Slap it up, yeah.
Slap it up hard, yeah.
The use of religious bigoted ideas such as Hamitic, Dr. Ben was the first to slap that down. This whole thing about using forged translations to separate, again, Africans from their Nile Valley history. So in many ways, we are following in Dr. Ben's footsteps, and in the area of the origins of religion, again, Dr. Ben, for example, you know the whole thing that in religion, there's this whole thing about which religion came first, Judaism, Christianity, or Islam.
Mm-hmm.
You know where it says in the Bible, let us make man in our image.
Yeah.
Christians interpret that as God talking to Jesus, talking to the Holy Spirit, yeah?
Okay.
Of course, when the Old Testament was written, Jesus didn't exist, so Christianity didn't exist.
Right.
Of course, Muslims will say that the very first prophets, going back to Adam and Eve, were Muslims. So Islam is the world's first religion. As Dr. Ben says, that's chronologically impossible.
All right.
And it's very important that, bringing basically common sense, logic, and argument, the way that Dr. Ben will set up an argument and drop it on you, and that rigor is something that I've tried to bring into my scholarship, and other people have been influenced by it too.
Brilliant.
And you do it brilliantly, Brother Robin.
Yeah, thanks a lot, sir. I'm very chuffed,
It's only true. I'm just making an observation.
It is the truth, my brother. Again, my brother, we want to thank you for your excellent contribution this evening and your passion and your zeal, and your calling to bring African history to our people. Thanks again, Brother Robin.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your night.
You too, my brother. Tendai Murray. Just to remind you, brothers and sisters, you can hear Brother Robin Walker tomorrow. Simply the Best Barbers, 7:15 to 9:15, 365 Willesden High Road. Why don't you email Brother Robin at historicalwalker@yahoo.com. We need a new generation of Afrocentric scholars. Tendai Murray. Brother Leader Bandaka, that was a very insightful interaction with Brother Robin.
Tendai Murray, absolutely brilliant. I always enjoy, with a great abundance.
He's a humble lion, isn't he?
He is, with a serious cutting edge, in terms of how, not just the wealth of knowledge and information that he brings and how he can back that up with scholastic accuracy, but also the skill with which he presents his work, his thesis, the absolute commitment to his research, but also his style.
Yeah,
I think he has a very engaging, and even entertaining style.
Definitely.
And you need all of that. Baba Ben certainly did have that, So he's learned very well. And I just want to say very quickly, there's a number of things I would, if there was time, would want to touch on. But I just want to say in relation to Baba Ben's pronouncement on history having emotion in it. that I believe that what Baba Ben was saying there is that a historian is more than just an intellectual, that a historian is always on a mission. A historian is always emotionally attached to, however that is expressed or however that is contained, that historian comes with a bias. They come with a cultural bias and a political bias. And he is saying, this is the reason why he is saying that Europeans cannot write African history, because the European bias cultural bias is going to be Eurocentric, and the political bias is going to be Eurocentric.
That's right.
And therefore it cannot serve the interests of advancing African cultural pride and political empowerment. It can't serve that purpose. And that is the actual purpose of history.
Absolutely.
So I would say that is very much a context in which Baba Yosef Ben-Jochannan made that assertion. And I believe that Brother Robin Walker fits into that category perfectly, just like a Baba Ben.
Absolutely.
Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
But I want to say to the African community, UK, that the Alkebu-Lan revivalist movement is in the process of organizing a memorial ceremony so that Africa UK can gather and honor this great international icon, this grand master teacher of the African world community, because that's what a nation does. Someone of such greatness and honor has departed our earthly company, and what we do as a nation of people, if we understand nationhood, if we understand culture, is we come together and we mark together the life, the legacy, and the passing of that individual, and we engage in the appropriate ceremonies and rituals to empower his soul as it ascends to the next realm of the cycle of life. So we will come with further information very, very soon. I think I can say we're looking at the weekend of the 11th to the 12th of April.
Or the 10th.
The 10th, 11th, 12th of April. Nothing is set in stone yet, brothers and sisters, but we are in the process of trying to organize that at the moment, and we will bring further information through Galaxy Radio and other mediums to inform the community as to when that will happen. And we're looking forward to everybody coming out to demonstrate our value of this great, outstanding son of Africa. So, brothers and sisters, listen out for further information on that. Tendai
Mwari, give thanks and praises, my brother. Sister Kai, go ahead.
Just to keep brothers and sisters informed, keep in touch with NOMO, Women's Wellness, Power Films, and all Alkebu-Lan's program by going to events and joining our mailing list at www.alkebulan.org. Alkebu-Lan spelled ALKEBULAN. That's alkebulan.org. So we have our Women's Wellness event taking place this Thursday at 282 High Road, Leighton. That's Mama Africa Culture Shop. And as 282 Mama Africa Culture Shop, 282 High Road, Leighton, E10 5PW. And on the Friday, that's a Thursday, and on the Friday evening, we have Race or Class, Claudia Jones' Dilemma. And that's our normal session. And that is at, again, the same address, Mama Africa Culture Shop, 7 p.m. And we have the event called Light Girls, a film, Power Films and Army, the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist Movement Youth, will be hosting the film, showing the film Light Girl, which is on the 14th of April.
And just to say, I was at the last one, the Dark Girls one, with the young people. It was a very, very dynamic debate. Our young people are powerful, brothers and sisters. Make sure you're there.
Word.
Make sure you're there. Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari.
Okay, brothers and sisters, this has been Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan on Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM. Sister Kai, go ahead.
We a number of texters inquired about Egyptian studies or hieroglyphics.
Meduneta
classes. We have,
apart from Kwaku Bonsu, we got Brother
Sankara, and his name is spelled SANKHKARA, Adisa, ADISA, Sankara Adisa, and you get him on Facebook.
Sankara Adisa, for your Kemetic Medunecha classes.
Or hieroglyphics. People know it.
Hieroglyphs. Tendamore. As I was saying, brothers and sisters, this has been Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan, Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM, www.galaxyfreeway.com. We give thanks and praises to Mwari Nyakusika, God that created the universe, through the spirits of Muzumukuru, our great ancestors. We want to thank all those who contributed to our program. I want to give special thanks to our dear brother Robin Walker, for his excellent contributions this evening. Thanks to the Galaxy management for your stewardship of this wonderful ship that we call Galaxy Radio. We want to give thanks to all the management on board. We want to thank also, brothers and sisters, all the pilots. If I can mix my metaphors slightly, we've gone from ship to plane, brother leader, but we call the Galaxy pilots on the Galaxy ship. We want to give thanks also to our producer, brother Olatunji Heru, for his sterling work in bringing this program together. And we want to thank you, brothers and sisters. We want to thank you for all your texts, your interactions this evening as well. And also, we know that there are a number of silent listeners out there, brothers and sisters. This has been Africa Speaks with Alkebu-Lan and Galaxy Radio 102.5 FM. Join us again next week between 8 and 10, where we talk it straight and make it plain. Tendamere.